Mi'kmaq. MAGA.
A wise man once said, if you don't know your past, you're condemned to repeat it. I've been keeping an eye on what Donald Trump and his administration has been doing, and I can't help but see the direct correlation between what the Trump administration is doing and their tactics versus a certain chancellor turned dictator from 1930s Germany. And let's call him Chancellor H, if you will. I don't know if that's like a hemorrhoid product or what, but Chancellor H. Basically, some of the major concerns are that the Chancellor, he found a certain race of people to be the boogeyman. And so has Donald Trump, certain race of people. And that certain race of people in Germany, they had to have certain paperwork in order to stay in Germany. And basically, that was their passports. Their passports had to be stamped. Only the Jews had to get their passports stamped. They had to go to a government building to do this, and feasibly could get arrested when going to said government building. Now, that also is a correlation to what Donald Trump is doing with the Latinos. They go to the courthouse to try to make things right and try to be legal, claim asylum, what have you. And Donald Trump has his ICE agents there to arrest them, and it's ridiculous. Now, let's talk about ICE. ICE is a kind of a branch of the secret police, okay? And Chancellor H also had his secret police called the Gestapo. And that was his main force. That's where Germany's money went. And quite frankly, that's where our money goes, is into ICE funding. And they're just, it's seeming to me, thugs. Now, when Chancellor H didn't like something that the media was saying about him, via newspaper or radio, he would go after them. He would shut down those operations, and claim that it was false information, right? Fake news. Donald Trump does the exact same thing when it comes to Jimmy Kimmel or Stephen Colbert or, the New York Times or CNN or what have you. He goes after him. And quite frankly, I'm just seeing all kinds of bully tactics. And let's quickly bring up the ballroom, right? The big, beautiful ballroom. Bigger than the White House. I knew that there was a bunker underneath that, was the east wing of the White House, which Trump tore down after saying he wasn't going to. And who else had a bunker? Well, Chancellor H had a bunker. And it was underneath a ballroom. It was called like the Reichstag Chancellery or something like that. A big meeting place, technically a ballroom. Trump is actually building this huge ballroom with a huge bunker underneath. And why? Well, as Chancellor H did, he knew that at some point they were going to come after him. Chancellor H in Germany in the 1930s knew what the end result would be after he pulled all this stuff. It's kind of uncanny. Like, why even do that? I mean, it's interesting. Oh, let's also be clear. Insofar as violence, whether it's the left or the right wing, well, everybody's causing violence, political violence. However, Chancellor H just happened to be extreme right. Now, I'm not judging, okay? Well, I am judging. Extreme is extreme, and there's no way around that. What does Donald Trump know? Does he know that he's going to need that ballroom and bunker? Is that ballroom and bunker going to be like reinforced with, say, missile launchers? I don't mean ICBM missiles. I don't mean nukes. Not that I know or don't know, but he's joked about that, having missile launchers in that area. And that wouldn't surprise me one little bit. He's already talked about the bulletproof glass and all that stuff. And, we know that there's a bunker underneath. He's planning something. And that particular bunker is nuclear. That particular bunker is nuke-proof, supposedly. Again, this is part of the whole thing. Chancellor H, he didn't have access to nukes. But DJT does. And this is where my concern is. I used to think Donald Trump was funny. I used to think he was the best president ever because he was more entertaining. And, I'm not going to get into my whole conspiracy theory when it comes to the president or how that goes, or even votes, right? But when he invaded Los Angeles, it just wasn't funny anymore. And now it's a whole lot worse. When you invade another country, you have other countries being concerned or maybe coming to the aid of said country. The whole thing is really concerning, if you will, for lack of a better term. So we're going to stay tuned, see what happens. Anyway, I hope this all makes sense. It's a bit convoluted. I might have to edit the fuck out of this and just put in my points there. But hey, please check out my OnlyFans page, and I'll see you soon.